I'm just going to do a little preamble here because having reviewed my footage, I haven't really said why one needs to adjust the preload on the suspension. My knowledge is quite limited, but from what I've read and seen on YouTube, I can say that this is not really going very well, so I'm going to start again. Okay, I'm going to try and loosen up. I'm loosening up, okay. Right, okay. Right, okay, doing a little preamble here, because having reviewed my footage, I haven't really said why one needs to adjust the preload of your suspension. Now, there's a couple of elements to consider from what I know, which is quite limited. The first is the more you load up your bike with either a pillion or a heavy rider or camping gear, etc., the load that you're going to put in your panniers and so on, what you need to do is keep the bike or level the bike out. I imagine if the bike sits down at the back, the headlight aim is going to be up in the air, not where you want it. Also, your suspension might bottom out, or your foot pegs might touch the ground if you haven't compensated for the load that you've put on there. The second factor, I believe, is that the more the ground undulates, the more you need to preload your suspension to compensate. Now, the suspension on the bike is made of two elements. It's a spring and a shock absorber. Now, my understanding is that the spring provides the suspension like this, but the shock absorber arrests that springiness and stops your wheel from breaking traction with the ground or continuing to bounce up and down until the shock dissipates. You'll go over a bump and it'll bump up, and the damper will dampen the I'm using the wrong words again. Look, I'm using damper and I'm using shock absorber. They're probably the same thing. It damps the suspension. So if you've got these variables, you need to have some way of making a few adjustments. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the film and it makes some sense. Now then, this isn't rocket science, but I was looking on YouTube to see if there was a 2006 BMW R1200 GS where somebody would show how to adjust the front preload on the preload on the front suspension. Now then, as I say, it's not rocket science. There's a C-spanner and it sort of goes on there like this, and as it pulls round like this, it goes, you probably can't see that, up to this other stage here, and vice versa. If you want to go backwards like this. Right, okay. Now then, the manual says there's 9 positions, but on this shock absorber here there are only 5 positions. When I got it, it was set on number 2. Now it's set on number 1. Now when I say number 1, I mean the least preload. What they say in the book is, the bouncier the ground, this is paraphrasing of course, the rougher the terrain, the higher the preload. Now I'm only going to be riding on the road, and I think I weigh about 65 kilos, about 10 stone. The example in the book is for an 85 kilo rider. That's why I've set it a little bit slacker than they suggest. I hope that has been of some interest. Now then, in the same vein, this ain't rocket science, but I wanted to see someone actually adjusting this. Couldn't find it, so I'm posting this film myself. Now, this is your rear suspension preload. It's got an arrow pointing low there, an arrow pointing there to high. They say the more extreme the road surface, like off-road, needs to be harder, on-road softer. And the way they say adjust this is turn it to its lowest setting. So you whack it back this way, like this. It goes all soft like that. Then they say turn it back 9 clicks. Or is it 10 clicks? One or the other. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. It stops clicking about here, but you can feel it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now, because I'm a bit lighter than the example they give in the book, I'm going to turn it back 2 clicks. What I have to do is I have to ride this bike a little bit to see how it performs, see whether it actually makes any difference. This is how you adjust the damping action on the rear shock absorber, or spring, or whatever it's called. There's this little screw here. It's got S for softer this way and H for harder this way, and the manual says turn it all the way in the hard direction as far as it will go, and for an 85 kilo rider turn it back 1.5 turns. So I'm only about 65, so I'm going to do it 1 full turn. Okay. Now I'm not sure if that actually does anything, but we'll soon find out when we ride it. That's the royal we, by the way. Just to orientate you as to the position of this adjusting screw, here's the back of the bike, and the screw is just in there, and you can see here is the shock absorber. Okay. Again, for orientation purposes, this is the front of the vehicle, and in here is the shock absorber or spring or whatever they call it, and this side panel has been removed. And just going towards the back of the bike now, here is the rear preload adjuster for the suspension. I hope this video has been of some use or interest. I mean, basically what I wanted to do was I just wanted to find out or see someone doing these like really basic adjustments, you know. What spanners do you use? Where exactly are they? How do you turn them? How easy is it to do? That sort of thing. You know, am I on the right sort of track? You know, it's not rocket science, but I was trying to, before I actually bought this bike, I was trying to find out 1 or 2 bits and pieces like this, and I just couldn't find any really simple stuff. So, hope this is of use and interest. It's absolutely persistently raining again. I thought I'd give these guys a plug. BMW Motorcycle Parts. Motorworks. If you do a search for Motorworks, you'll find them. They're breakers that sell parts for BMWs from 1970 to date. This is where I got the C spanner that I used today. They were very helpful. Even though it was only a part that they charged £3 for, I thought they were very helpful, and their site is very interesting just to go and have a browse through. Hope that's of help to all concerned.